Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Kol Yom Lad, Adonai Yahweh, Bashem Shamalak Yahushai, Bashem Kakadash, to honor to the apostles and elders, Green Millstone, peace, I teach and hope for elect. Shalom, and the title of this video is going to be Foster care systems are a part of the biblical curses. And, the most famous book that speaks about the curses of the Israelites, which are you so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians, is it will be Deuteronomy 28. That's like the most famous book of all time. And the Lord promised that if our people don't follow his commandments, perfectly, then these curses will fall upon us till it destroy us. It's like when we turn our back on the Heavenly Father, he turned his back on us to show us that, we need him and we need to follow his righteous ways. Because, it's just not the way to life. It's just not it. If you, doing wickedness, then you're not following after his righteous ways. So, Deuteronomy 28, verse 32 says, thy sons of thy daughters shall be given unto another people. And we all know what that means, right? And it says, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. Yeah, it happened back in hardcore slavery at the time of, somewhere around like, like 400 years ago, shit like this was happening. Ever since we got into hardcore slavery, shit like this really been going on. Our people have been sold across from states, across like internationally, Our people are being sold like, left and right like that. And it's like there's nothing we could do about it, And that was such a sad thing to see that your own children, you can't even enjoy that, Even if you was just to serve your master, you can't even enjoy being on your children in the plantation. They will be sold to another, slave master. Either he's from a different town, different state, or different country, Because we were just looked at as property. And it says in Deuteronomy 28, verse 54, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave. That kind of ties in with it. Because, when the father leaves, the mother, she can't be, she's not really capable enough to take care of, like, the kids. That's why they need both parents. And you really all know that's the 10 Planks of Communist Manifesto, abolition of the family, And how they do that? By giving the woman the power, making them equal to a man or making them superior to men. And they feel like they could do it. And they don't really understand that this is destroying the family. And then, when the father's not in the picture now, that boy wants to be a transgender. That girl wants to be a guy. Or something like that, It's just a whole bunch of confusion. Or she wants to be a lesbian as well. Because she hates men. Yep. And, for our people, like, which are so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, for them to be given to another people, it happens to this day, even in the 21st century. Because technically we are in slavery, but it's just like, kind of like an institutionalized, like, modern slavery where you're working a 9-to-5 job, and you're working for money, getting paid mostly bi-weekly. That's the most common way of getting paid, through a paycheck or direct deposit, And, yeah, that's pretty much how it is. You know, when the system seeing that you're not taking care of your kids the right way, if they see that you left your kid home alone in the house or so, just once or a few times, what they will do is they will call it, they will get ACS to pretty much take your kids, the Child Protective Services. And it's a business technically. It's not really meant to, you know, really fully care for that kid as they should, because they're corrupt themselves. And who they mostly care for is mostly the white children that's there. If you were Jake, especially if you're a so-called black kid, they'll keep you there longer, and they figure that, oh, you can handle it. It says, attendant in verse 56 says, attend a delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness. Her eyes shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in a siege and straitness, wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. Exactly. Your enemy is just stressing, it's just Esau. He's stressing our people out with this, taking your children away. Now it's like the family's broken, because there's no father most of the times. And most of the times the mother doesn't want to take the responsibility of both of those kids. And she would decide to, do some wickedness. Like, you have some mothers that will throw their child in the garbage, that will leave their child stranded just to, because they finished and they're done with taking care of their children. Yeah, it's the curses, man. It's just so sad. The Lord promised that these curses will destroy us as a nation of people, and it has been destroying us ever since it has started. This is the foster care in the U.S. number of children 2020 by race/ethnicity. 2020, there were 175,870 white children in foster care. In the United States, this is compared to 92,237 black or African American children and 88,111 Hispanic children who are in foster care. So, pretty much this is like the, just the number, the statistics of it. But we all know that, Jake is in every ethnicity, basically, because we're scattered as a nation of people. So it will be hard to tell which tribe they're from. So in this article, I really wanted to bring out, for the most part, says black children continue to be disproportionately represented in foster care. So there's the children in foster care by race and Hispanic origin. There's no way I don't know. So it says the foster care of, the share of children who are black and in foster care remains much smaller than it was nearly a decade ago. Even so, black children are still overrepresented among youth in foster care relative to the general child population. In 2018, black children represented 14% of the total child population, with 23% of all kids in foster care. By comparison, white kids represent 50% of the nation's child population and only 44% of its foster care population. Latino and Hispanic children represent 25% of kids nationwide, yet just 21% of all kinds of foster care. And Asian and Native Hawaiian kids make up 5% of the U.S. child population, but only 1% of its foster care population. In other words, these three groups are underrepresented in foster care when compared to their presence in the total child population. So, yeah. And, pretty much like they would like to represent, mostly black people as, in foster care a lot, just to, pretty much push that idea of keeping, you know, our people destroyed in that sense where the system takes their kids. And this will happen to my, basically, she will be considered, because it's my mom's uncle's daughter. So that would be my great uncle's daughter. Not really sure what's that to me. I'm pretty sure just, I guess, great cousin or so. But if I'm not mistaken. And what had happened was when she had kids, she had a lot of kids, and they took away the kids because of the men that she was with, and they had pretty much put them in foster care. So of course, when they're in foster care, it's like if they're about to get adopted, now let's just say the mother ain't gonna adopt all those children. I'm just saying like the mother of a different family, like the, let's say just a person who adopts them, they're not gonna take all of them, so they're gonna just take you know who they deem, I guess, the one they connect with the most, and they're gonna take that or a few of those children out of the bunch, and that's how they keep them separated, which is sad. It's really a sad thing because it's like it destroys your bond with your actual blood family when you have your people that's in the system, in the ACS. And it's just a real sad thing to see that. And another thing too, when these kids get put in the system, they're looked at more as a paycheck than they are as actual children. Because at the end of the day, whoever, if you have like a foster care system, so like like they give the parent that's raising the kid, which is not the biological parent, they're giving the adopted just basically the parent who's taking that there's custody of that child, they're giving that parent that money. So some of them just do it for the money. Sometimes you're gonna have to deal with other children in the family that might be related to the person who's taking custody of children that's not related to them. And if you know what I mean, if it makes sense, to you. But you get the point. They pretty much it's all like a separation thing, honestly, what they plan on doing. And sometimes like the parents, like they take those children and treat them like crap. They treat them like shit. And it's just like, it could be your own people too. And then you gotta deal with other children inside that same that's living in that same situation. Some of them that might actually be related to that to the parent, and some of them that are not related to that parent. And then, bullying might happen there. There was even a time when I was close to getting caught up in that foster care thing too. Luckily, I didn't. As pretty much as fucked up as my mother was, she wasn't too fucked up in that sense. So it's like, it's like I could kind of endure it, you know what I mean? Even though my dad was kind of fucked up himself in the sense where he just like left, and he was kind of there, just giving it like a little bit of support, shitty support. And, it's just something you could endure. It's nothing like let's say it's not like they weren't hardcore drug dealers. They weren't like super big time abusers. That would be a different story. Then yeah, foster care would be necessary. And I wouldn't be surprised if I find evidence that most children end up joining gangs for being in foster care. Because usually when you join a gang and stuff like that, it's not easy and shit like that because you're doing everything so illegal and underground. And it's like you're looking at your gang as protection, but then it's like they could get caught up too. And, and shit like that. But I won't be surprised if I find evidence like that. I'm not gonna lie though, there is pretty much like a pipeline that's, from foster care to prison. And, this is what Esau, Edom, they really try to set up with our people, especially the so-called black people, you know, who consist of, Judah, Benjamin, Levites. This is hashtag for foster care month. Youth placed in group homes are 2.5 times more likely to get involved in the justice system. 90% of youth with 5+ foster placements will enter the justice system. So that's pretty much like the statistics of it. Just like how it's pretty much like a school to prison pipeline as well. Esau knows, like, for public education, the education that's mostly meant for, majority, like the schools get lack of fundings, they get bad school lunch, yeah, they don't really get pretty much notice as much. And so much for a country that has so much money, they fail to support, and make their let's say their foster care systems and their school systems better. But it's just part of the curses anyway, and just showing you that Esau, Edom is the fucking devil, the Bible speaks of. But other than that, I hope I made a list of edifying. Let's give all glory, praise, and honor to Adonai, Yahweh, Bashem, Shamalak, Yahweh, Bashem, Kadash, Yahweh, Bashem, Shabbat, Shalak, Rayam, Adawam, Yam, Wa, Kwayam, Wa, Baba, Shalom.